today is, by the end of our session today, you should be able to apply any of the different levels of comprehension to examples of spoken and written material. Now, you may be wondering, we brought you through primary and secondary sources, so how is it that we're now taking you through the levels of comprehension? It is necessary. And it is simply because as you sift and sort through the information that you're gathering, you need to be able to understand. You need to be able to use the skills of understanding to sift and sort. So before we go any further, what is comprehension? In its most basic definition, comprehension is the ability to understand something. So you're thinking, so Miss, just that? No, that's not it at all. Comprehension is also a reader's or listener's ability to decode, interpret what is read or heard. So think about the communication process, which you should have done by now. As the recipient of a message, you should be able to interpret or decode whatever is said to you, or whatever you hear, or whatever you read. True? Now, it is also your ability to make connections with what you have read or heard. So it's not simply about just picking up a script or a text or an argument or a piece of paper and just looking at the words on the page. It goes beyond that. You need to be able to make the relevant connections with the information itself, as well as make connections with what the information is saying. You can also make those connections with your own lives and your own experiences. As a listener or reader, you should be able to think deeply about what you have just heard or read. So you don't just take things at face value. You should be able to go beyond just what is heard or read. So let's explore further the levels of comprehension.
All right, that we will do. There are 6 levels, and don't you worry, the dynamic duo, we are back to walk you through them. We're going to sail through the 6 levels of comprehension. We're looking at the literal, and we're starting from bottom top. So it's bottom up. So it's the literal, the interpretive, or what your teacher would normally call the inferential, the analysis, application, synthesis, and evaluation. Those are the 6 levels that we are zooming in on this morning. All right, now if you notice, we have the ladder there for you. And look at Simon, the smart one. He is at the literal level and moving up. So let us just pause now to look at what is the literal level. That's the basic level, the first step in understanding something as Miss Science is just about anything. All right, now at this level, what are you required to do? What's the skill necessary? You locate information in a given piece, your passage, your extract, whatever you call it, without having to interpret the information that is there. Of course, that's the easiest level, and that's the level we all like, don't it? You just extract the information, put it on your paper, there you have it, perfect score. You're also required to remember basic information such as names, dates, places, time, and anything. And, you know, as you come to be doing your IA, this is, if you remember when we walked you through the sources, the primary and the secondary sources, and you're expected to extract information, you may need to remember to know the name of or the place where something happened. So that is at its basic level, the literal.
So Charmaine, are you telling me then that if we're looking at definitions, if I found a definition and I need to recall that definition for my IA, I'm operating at the literal level?
That's what you're doing. The literal level. Basic level, you simply extract the information as it is presented. You need to do nothing more. All right, now let us look at an example. Now, we're looking at a passage in our minds, virtual passage. Aren't we going virtual in everything these days? So we're looking at a passage on the COVID-19, something that's topical. And the question that pops out of that is, what are the 3 main symptoms of COVID-19? And of course, you will see it in your passage. It will tell you. So the symptoms, or the 3 main symptoms of COVID-19 are, I'm not looking on the board, it would be cough, dry cough. It would also be a fever and, Ms. Hines, do you know any?
Tiredness.
Very good. Those are the 3 main symptoms. What I want you to get is that you would see that in the passage. There's nothing for you to do except to extract that, recall that, remember that. I'm going to walk you through some key words now, key actions really, because it's comprehension. You're required to do something. Remember, you're a grade 5 teacher in primary school. The action word is the doing word, so you're doing. What are you doing at the literal level? You are recalling, recounting, memorizing, naming, identifying, listing, and we said memorizing already. That's all you're required to do. So when you're going now to do your research, and your IA, right? Your com studies, you have your topic and you have information that you need, that you want. You read your articles, whatever, and you simply take out the names, the dates. There's nothing to change, nothing to do at its basic level. So we move with Simon the Smart One. And Simon the Smart One, could we just look at that the step again? So Simon has moved. He has 1 foot on the literal level, and look at Simon now putting the other one on the interpretive level. So he has moved up a rung. We are climbing Jacob's ladder. So here is Simon now at the interpretive level. What is that? Now at this level, also you are required to decode, decipher, figure it out, yes, and read between the lines. It means that it is not stated as it is in the literal level, the writer implies. What does that mean? It means that the writer suggests without stating clearly. It is implicit. Here's a new word for you if you didn't know that one. Go and look what the word implicit means based on what I'm talking about. And you now, as the reader, would infer. What are you doing? You are supposing, or you are coming to your own conclusion. All right? As I said, the information is not stated directly. It is implicitly stated. You are expected to use the context clues given to understand what is being said. All right? So it is a step higher and a little bit more challenging. You notice that? That's why Simon the Smart is moving on up. You also may be required to combine ideas to form a conclusion. All right? Based on the writer's intent or his message. I give you an example again from that passage that's in our head, that imaginary passage. So you see, we're covering a lot of bases. You're using your imagination. And so you and I both have that passage. Ms. Hines, do you have it as well? On COVID-19.
Committed to memory.
Here is this one now. You see a question. Give two reasons for panic buying. All right.
But the problem I have,
yes,
Ms. Tingling, I don't remember seeing the words panic buying anywhere in the passage.
Smart girl. All right. So panic buying was not stated explicitly. So the opposite of implicit is explicit. So it's easy for you to go and find what those are. So now the passage would say something like, work with me now, students. Every day the news report would speak of the the increasing numbers in COVID-19. It would speak of the rumor. It is strongly rumored that there is to be an impending food shortage. And so the lines at the supermarket have become unusually long. Persons are pushing and shoving to get into the supermarket. Persons have unusually number of bags carrying out with groceries, right? There's a rush on grocery items. So, what are two reasons for panic buying?
Fear.
Fear because of?
Because of Potential food shortage.
Very good. So one of the reasons is the rumor of the impending food shortage. All right. Another reason.
The increasing numbers.
Right. So you are worried. And of course, with the increasing numbers, the fear of being locked down. So, and you know as Jamaicans how important it is that we're belly full, right? So if we have to be locked down, according to the Prime Minister's orders, we need to lock down with enough food. So there is a reason for panic buying. The term panic buying was not in the passage, but you use the context clues, you read between the lines, and you figured it out. All right. Now, number 3, Ms. Hines will take you through. Some of the key words, key actions, doing, is describe, classify, locate, combine, determine, figure it out, and reflect. Now, and I'm going to ask you to find, how many are on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Find 7 more action words that you would use. It's the same thing when you are writing now that research paper. You're going to have to figure out some stuff, right? All information, what you want, the information you want may not be explicitly stated. You're going to have to read and figure out that this is what was meant, is meant, and this is what you need for your research paper. Got it? Figure it out.
Now, like Simon, you are
The
climbing.
smart one.
Simon the smart one, you are climbing Jacob's ladder. So we are at the 3rd rung, and this is the rung of analysis. Oh, Lord. Now, Miss Singling, when you think of analysis, just tell me one thing that pops into your mind.
Well, I cheated a little bit, and I looked on your board, and I saw where you
But that
distinguish.
disqualifies you.
I confess. You distinguish between facts and opinion. Now, what comes to my mind readily is there's a difference. If I'm to distinguish, it means there's a difference between facts and inferences. Maybe I didn't know this. So what is the difference?
Now, what it means is that facts are things that can be proven, while inferences are things that in the arguments or in whatever paper or text that you interface with, these are things that are not stated directly, and you will have to use your own experiences and the context clues to pull meaning. So it becomes very subjective. Now, when you're thinking also about the processes that are involved in understanding something at the level of the analysis, you are thinking too of breaking information into parts. You're breaking it apart. You're taking things apart. You're pulling them. So you're disassembling them in order to fully understand or fully get or decode or decipher or interpret whatever meaning there is embedded in the argument, in the concept, in the text. So it means that you, therefore, are expected to go through each component to get a full understanding, and then you are expected after that to make connections. Now remember, I made mention of that before, that in understanding something, you will have to make connections between 2 ideas, 2 arguments. In addition to that, in making the connections, you will be able to see the relationships that exist between concepts and ideas and arguments.
So, Ms. Hines, this whole matter of decoding and deciphering, I'm figuring it out, am I? And translating that into my English?
All right.
I'm just asking.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Very good. Now, as you go along in this stage of the analysis, you will recognize that as you become more familiar, as you understand in greater depth the content before you, you are also developing critical thinking skills. Now, since last week, we've been telling you about critical thinking skills. Let me just break it down for you, just in case you missed the explanation last week. when we talk about critical thinking skills, we mean that you're developing your ability to reason. So as you sift and sort through all of the information and all of the sources and all of the things, the ideas and arguments that are bombarding you, as you sift and sort through those things, you are now able to recognize errors that may exist in how the writer presents an argument. You're also at this level able to link one argument read in a particular piece to another read in another piece.
So I am making connections here, Miss. And you just spoke about sifting and sorting.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
remember last week you said that's part of the basic process in gathering information.
Very good.
Part was sifting and sorting. So you see, I'm making connections here. So now at the analysis level, when I get the information, this is where I am also sifting and sorting through the information. Thank you.
Very good. Well done, Miss Dingling. Well done.
It's Monday, I'm thinking. So the
Sharp.
connections are there throughout.
The connections are there throughout. So it means as you continue to gather and as you continue to sift and sort your information, you are now building the basis for your arguments. So let us go back now to our passage or virtual passage on COVID-19. Now, you would meet upon a question such as this. Distinguish between a pandemic and an epidemic.
Comes back to what I said, distinguish means there's a difference.
Very
so are you
good.
actually telling me that there's a difference between a pandemic and an epidemic?
Yes, there is.
Thought they were the same mic.
No, no.
Okay.
Let me just drop a little information on you before we go. Now, think of pandemic with the idea of the P, passport. So you're thinking of a pandemic travels across continents and countries and across the globe.
It's global.
It's global.
Okay.
While an epidemic is localized, so it is within a particular region. So never forget, just remember that little P.
Oh. So the
P?
pandemic is a globetrotter.
Yes, globetrotter. So he has his passport. So, he just goes anywhere he feels.
Okay.
Yes.
Visa like that?
Of course.
Okay.
Now, because we are so kind, we continue to build your vocabulary and give you all of these wonderful action words that you would use at the various levels. First, we have deduce. Then there is distinguish, differentiate, categorize, compare, contrast, separate. So you notice that there's a trend in the actions. The actions all require you to do what? At some point, you're going to have to disassemble, then rearrange the ideas. You're going to have to note the separations and the differences that exist. You may even have to categorize or classify things in order to understand them more clearly. Now let us move one rung further, and this is the level of application. So Smart Simon has now passed...
Simon, the smart one.
Apologies, ma'am.
Thank you.
Simon, the smart one,
Yes, please.
is now at level 4. Yay, Simon. He's moving through. Now, at this level, this is what Simon, the smart one, would do. Because I now fully understand all the parts and components that makes up an argument, I have recognized the errors in reasoning that might exist in a particular piece, and I have removed it. I have sifted through, and I now fully understand all the components. This is what I'm going to do. Because I understand the components of the argument, the piece, the concept, I am now able to apply it or transfer the knowledge to a new situation. So the idea of application is being able to transfer knowledge, the knowledge that you have, the knowledge that you have acquired, because you so readily understand it and you understand all the parts of it, you are able to move into a new situation and still apply the knowledge that you have to that particular situation. So let us say, for example, Simon the Smart.
One.
The Smart One.
Thank you.
Steps in to a classroom. Home ec class to be exact. Simon has never used the gadgets that are available in the home ec room, but he remembers the principles that his mother taught him for frying an egg. Now, because Simon understands the principles clearly, Simon is able to now transfer that to this new space. And that will allow him to maneuver, use the concepts taught by his mother to maneuver this new space. All right? I know that you're with me, right? Miss Tingling?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Very much so, thank you.
All right, beautiful. Now, when we talk about applying, we can apply concepts, principles, ideas, and measurements to different situations. Now,
I don't quite on the measurements. If you could just go back to, you said, and measurement.
right. Now, think about it. If you were to measure a situation, or you were to think about all of the things that you have collected thus far, regarding a particular problem or a particular topic, based on the information that you have collected and all the things that you have observed, you can use that data, that information, to measure or to create a kind of scale by which you would judge how another situation may operate.
So it might become an integral part of my research process then?
It will become an integral part
All right.
of your research process.
Thank you so much.
So let's return to our virtual passage. So at this level, you would be thinking now of the impact that COVID-19 could have on your learning. So let us say the passage speaks to COVID-19 and it has gone through panic buying and it has now addressed the impact that the pandemic has had on students, or is having, on students
learning.
On students' learning and on education.
Such as the virtual learning, not having connectivity. I am just thinking here, it's Monday.
Very good.
That's an impact.
That is an impact.
All right.
Now, you being able to think about what you are experiencing and apply that to the passage is you using application. There you go.
Okay.
It's Monday.
I'm measuring. All right.
Very much so. So at this level, here are some key actions that you would do. Remember now, we're expecting you to continue to add to your list. We have created a vocabulary corner for you. Now we're expecting you to do your part and help us by adding, and not only adding, but using these words. Make them a part of your active vocabulary, all right? So we're looking at things like applying, illustrating, dramatizing, demonstrating, using, manipulating, showing. Manipulating, you may wonder, how does that fall in there? Now, because you are able to use the concepts learned in a new situation, it means that you will be able to fix and twist and twerk
to my advantage.
to your advantage. Very good. So let us look now at the final 2 rungs that will take you to the top of Jacob's ladder.
All right, and I do hope that Simon, the smart one, is with me. We are now on the rung of synthesis. Now, I might have a challenge in pronouncing that word. Work with me. Miss Hines, you will pronounce if you see me get tongue twisted.
Not a
now,
problem.
at this level, what do? Time is going. So you put concepts and ideas together to form a new whole. You put them together. Okay, sixth formers, what else do? You should be able now, along with Simon, the smart one, to compile information in a different way or propose solutions to a problem. That is what you are able to do at this level. So you have information coming at you from all over. If you remember now, the basic steps in gathering information, you plan, you gather information, then you sift and sort. Now you move it up a rung to synthesizing, putting together, and it is far easier than it looks. What do? Your written work should take on an individualized perspective, your point of view. That's where a whole lot of you, my sixth formers, come into play, all right? For example, you would explain how a video clip could enhance students' understanding of COVID-19. That we took from our virtual extract, all right? That passage, from that, you would begin to think. So if the passage said so and so and so you put all that information that is relevant to that response together. It's on you to do that. All right.
So, Ms. Singling,
yes,
are you telling me that when I'm in my literature class and my teacher asks me to prepare a response to a particular poem that we just did, I'm now operating at the level of synthesis?
Because you are...
Because I'm now preparing something that is my own. It is individualized. It's my personal point of view, and I'm responding based on my comprehension of the material.
And based on the information presented to you. All right, good.
Okay.
All right, now some keywords for you, some action words for you. Construct. You're building. You're looking at compose. Ms. Hines just spoke about creating her own piece. Create, formulate, assemble, putting together, assimilate, and organize. Those are some of the things that you do when you are synthesizing, when you are putting information together. All right, when you come to be researching for your IA, whatever your topic is, and you gather this wealth of information, you begin to put it together as it makes sense for your particular topic. All right, and we move now real quickly into the very last one. That is the whole matter of evaluation.
So at this level, you make decisions, judgments, and objective assessments of an idea or argument.
You begin to feel bright?
Yes, but of course.
Decisions and judgments.
Yes, because you are sifting and sorting through and you're determining what has value to your paper, what has value to your IA. So you're not just going to see an article that has no bearing on what you're doing and infuse it in your IA or in your research piece. Not at all. Because at this level, you are now able to determine what has relevance, so what brings value to your piece, and what is relevant. It means that it has meaning. It adds value. It brings something else to the table outside of, right? So at this level, you will determine relevance and purpose. What is the purpose of this piece? Is this piece worthwhile for my IA or my particular research? Does this piece of material bring forth the arguments that are necessary to enhance my topic. Now, going back to our virtual passage, we use this now to assess. So we judge. Again, your keywords, your key actions.
Assessing is the same thing as evaluating.
As evaluating. So you appraise something. You estimate how much value does it bring to the table. You validate. You rate it. And when you rate it, then you will score how necessary it is to include it in your particular piece.
Well, Ms. Hines, what were you asking me to assess? I saw the government's what?
Oh, sorry.
Sure.
I was asking you to assess the government's response to COVID-19, to the lack of adequate connectivity for students. So, in doing so, you would be appraising, you would be estimating what has been done and how well it has been done.
Because I'm making my own judgments.
Because
now.
you're making your own judgments.
All right.
Please note, though, Ms. Tingling, that in judging and evaluating, you will further go into the act of synthesizing. Because you're going to be creating your response.
I was going to say that.
Yes.
Okay. So,
but we're both having a smart Monday.
Simon the smart one is our twin brother. So we are now going to be
is.
looking at, have you already looked at the key actions that we need?
I think we have, but let us recap. So we judge, we appraise, we assess, we estimate, we validate, and we rate. So, now that we have gotten to the top of Jacob's ladder, let me see if Miss Tingling was paying attention.
Keen attention, it's Monday. So the 6 steps, 6 comprehension skills are the literal, the inferential or the interpretive, analysis, go with me, application, synthesis,
there you go.
And we just did evaluation. We're going to show you a quick passage now with the 2 minutes we have left. And just for an example, I'm so sorry that you can't see all of this. We are looking at extracting the information as we did all of what was necessary, what Simon the smart one is doing. And from this passage, there he goes, Simon needed for his IAs and members of the public were instructed that they should only leave the house for very limited purposes, including 1, shopping, and for basic necessities, for example, food and medicine. We are now looking at your IA, that topic, let's just say it's about the pandemic, COVID-19, and relating it specifically to your country. However, at the top of the first paragraph has to do with the pandemic in the UK. Now, if you remember, as you sifted and sorted, we said that you may wade through information that might not be relevant to your IA.
So what you're telling me then, Ms. Tingling, is that Simon the smart one waded through all of that irrelevant data
and extracted what you have in bold.
So he is now operating at the level of evaluation.
That's it. But he has climbed the rungs, right? All right. So, yes, and traveling for work purposes, but only where they cannot work from home, as is what our government is saying to us right now. There you have it. I hope that we helped you. Some light was done and you're now at the top rung of the ladder. You can evaluate. You start from literal and you're now evaluating.
So that's all for today. Today we discussed, as you saw, levels of comprehension. If you have any questions, please send them through to the Ministry of Education's social media page, as well as TVJ's social media pages. We want to make sure you are understanding what is being taught. Remember to keep safe, wash your hands regularly, sanitize, and wear your masks.
Have a wonderful Monday.